The leader of the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, have been lying to the American public for weeks about this continuing resolution spending bill that will enable the federal government to operate from March 15th to September 30th, 2025. The lies that he's spewing will be further evidenced by my video, but then I'm going to debunk those lies through my research. His lies contain Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid will be cut. That is furthest from the truth, at least not in the manner that he's presenting it. His tactic is to get the American public on the radical left Democrat side in order to curry favor with them heading into the 2026 midterm elections, to where the real goal is for him and his Democratic buddies to take control of at least the House. If that happens, Hakeem Jeffries becomes the de facto House Speaker, because when the Democrats take over the House, if they do, they'll have enough votes to vote him in. This is what they wanted to do a few years back, at least in recent memory, a couple years back, I'd say. And so bringing it full circle back to the topic, U.S. House of Representatives are fear-mongering the public on untruths. Here's a little bit of it right now. Here we go.
Republicans temporarily control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Instead of using their majority to make life better for the American people, Donald Trump and House Republicans are crashing the economy and hurting hard-working American families. And now extreme MAGA Republicans want to shut down the government. The House Republican so-called spending bill does nothing to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Quite the opposite. The Republican bill dramatically cuts health care, nutritional assistance for children and families, and veterans' benefits. It is not something we could ever support. House Democrats will not be complicit in the Republican effort to hurt the American people. Catherine Clark.
Now, as you know, if you've been following the news, last night Chuck Schumer caved in the Senate and said that he will support this continuing resolution to fund the government through September 30th, 2025. And so there is backlash from Chuck Schumer's decision from AOC, Hakeem Jeffries, and other Democrats alike that rather shut down the government instead of funding it for the remainder of the fiscal year 2025. House Democrats at the United States level, there was only one or two Democrats that voted for the continuing resolution to pass in the House a couple of days ago. All the other Democrats voted against it. So when they voted against it, that meant that they were for shutting the government down, which would have further hurt. You think Elon Musk and the Doge department, you think their cuts or their recommended cuts to government agency employees across all agencies within the United States is hurtful now? A government shutdown would have really hurt federal employees working across the United States. I can't listen to this anymore. I did some research on my own, and the title of this information here is House passes H.R. 1968 Full Year Continuing Appropriations and Extensions Act of 2025. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but the key takeaways are that this bill that passed the U.S. House a couple of days ago ensures a costly government shutdown does not happen to the American people. It fully funds core government services, maintains government operations without increasing the spending of taxpayer dollars, upholds responsibility to our nation's veterans, and ensures full funding for their health care services and benefits. I'll read that again. Upholds responsibility to our nation's veterans and ensures full funding for their health care services and benefits. Enhances defense investments and includes the largest pay raise for junior enlisted troops in over 40 years. Supports federal wildland firefighters in their work to protect our communities and public lands. Protects Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid recipients from the disruptions and confusion a shutdown will cause. I will read that again. Protects Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid recipients from the disruptions and confusion a shutdown will cause. Increases funding for air traffic control priorities over FY24. The bill fully funds the program that provides important nutritional assistance to mothers, infants, and children. It includes a more than $500 million increase for WIC as requested by the Trump administration for a total of $7.6 billion. And lastly, safeguards legislation from any poison pills, ensuring a clean continuing resolution, which means that besides what I read to you, there isn't anything else in this bill that carries favor for Republicans or Democrats and their constituents. It is plain and simple. That is a clean CR. I even used AI to help me analyze the continuing resolution that passed a couple of days ago and give a summary. And that summary is right here. Let's see here. Where is it? All right. I got it. All right. So here we go. Got it. Please bear with me, folks. There's a lot of information that I poured through right now, right? So we heard what was in the bill because I just read it to you. But there are major funding reductions that has somewhat to do with Medicaid services for low-income families in low-income neighborhoods, but those reductions are not immediate. Those reductions were deferred to later years, I think as early as 2028, but by that time, there would be another reconciliation, there would be another deal making between Republicans and Democrats to renew the requirement for Medicaid. But let me go through the major funding reductions. The most notable reduction is a $20 billion rescission of funds previously allocated to the IRS from the 2022 Reconciliation Act. This reduction is expected to affect the IRS's ability to collect revenue, with estimated impacts of $1.7 billion in 2025, $38 billion over 2025, and between 2025 and 2029, and over $65 billion between the years 2025 and 2034. Other reductions and delays. Beyond the IRS, there are programs like the Afghanistan Security Forces Fund. That's been reduced to zero. Other programs that have been reduced to zero. Aircraft procurement. So the Afghan Security Forces Fund was reduced from 80 million down to zero. So they reduced the Afghanistan Security Forces funds by $80 million. So they're not getting that. The aircraft procurement from the Army was reduced by $25 million. Additionally, there's a delay in Medicaid disproportionate share hospital reductions, which initially increases funding in 2025. So there's no immediate reduction in 2025, right, of Medicaid disproportionate share hospital, right? There's a delay in Medicaid disproportionate share hospital reductions, which initially increases funding in 2025 by $1.3 million, but includes reductions in later years, such as a rescission or reduction of $447 million in 2028. So that reduction is pushed to later years. Let's see. Major funding reductions. So we kind of read through all this, right? And then here's a table here that shows the reduction amount, right? I'm not going to read through it again. You could see it here. Afghan security forces, aircraft procurement, the Navy, other procurement, all these have been reduced down, but nowhere do I see a reduction in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and veterans benefits. Now, what may you ask is, what is this? What may you ask is the Medicaid disproportionate share hospital? Well, AI helped me figure that out too. A Medicaid disproportionate share hospital is a hospital that receives additional payments from the Medicaid program to help offset the cost of providing care to a disproportionately high number of low-income patients, including those who are uninsured or underinsured. These payments are intended to ensure that hospitals serving vulnerable populations can remain financially viable and continue to provide access to health care services. Again, for fiscal year 2025, there are no reductions in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, or food stamps or food assistance. And so we have to continue to negotiate across the aisle to ensure that these programs aren't reduced, or if they are reduced, minimally reduced, to the point where services that are being carried out at this moment will not be lost. But as you can clearly see, and when I provide the link to these articles and things like that to the description below, you'll be able to see what exactly is in the bill, what exactly is being reduced in the budget. It's nothing that Hakeem Jeffries said. I just want to make a last point and I'll conclude. You have to understand that Chuck Schumer, the minority leader in the U.S. Senate, made a decision to vote for this continuing resolution bill to fund the government through September 30th, 2025. There are no immediate cuts being made this year. Now, negotiations for fiscal year 2026 will have to take place, and concessions have to be made, and that's the nature of negotiation. Is you give a little, you take a little on both sides of the aisle. It's fear mongering and lies being told to the American public needs to stop. And you know what these people are counting on? That the American public is too dumb and stupid to do what I did and Google HR 1968 and figure out what's in it, what's being reduced. The reductions that are pushed out to later years has nothing to do with FY25. And by the time we get to FY28, renegotiations would have taken place for FY26 and 27 in the first place. So there's room there for even the reduction with the Medicaid Hospital Shared Act starting in 2028. There's room there to negotiate for that even not to happen in 2028. So please be smart, take emotions out of it, use your logic, do your own research, and make your own determination about what's happening on Capitol Hill. I am Gregory Wright, and I appreciate you tuning into my show. Thank you.